Frank Watkins.
Frank, the executioner. How you doing, brother? I trust you survived the holidays in one piece?
Yeah, pretty much. There's a lot of drama went on. Yeah, from all over the country.
So you're actually ready to get back to work, huh?
Oh, yeah, I've been back to work since this past week. Just starting now.
Okay. Well, you've got a lot on your plate. I mean, you've got between Obituary, Gorgoroth, and you're back from the Dead Management Service. How do you juggle all those knives at once?
You know what? I have no idea. It just works somehow. I mean, I'm sure there's going to be a time where I collide into everything and things are just going to explode in front of you. But as it stands now, I'm juggling it pretty well. I mean, I haven't really had any major issues. I mean, I've been doing this for a long time with these bands, and that's my passion is music. And it's just the management thing kind of came about because other bands that I knew in the area and younger bands of mine and whatnot would always ask me questions about, the music industry and reading contracts and whatnot. And I just kind of evolved into this company that I made. But yeah, I mean, it's a tough thing to juggle, but it keeps me busy as hell, and I love it.
And you've taken the stage name, The Executioner, or meaning The Executioner, Bodil.
Bodil, yeah. I was in Norway, and a bunch of guys, we were hanging out talking, and they were like, so do you have an official black metal name? And I'm like, well, I haven't even really thought about it. And we were just running some names around, and some guy was telling me that, the original singer of Gorgoroth, he called himself Hot, which is like hate in Norwegian, and Pest is from pestilence. And they just were kind of going through different names and stuff. And I just was like, something that kind of relates to me would be what Obituary was, Executioner. And I used that for an email address and a lot of different stuff. And I said, this would probably be a cool name. I was like, what was that in Norwegian? And they pronounced it to me, and I was like, that sounds good. It's going to work. Just kind of stuck.
So the new CD, and I may butcher this, Quantos posant ad Santum Satan Tatum?
Yeah.
The album is simply brutal. How would you describe the album for those who have not heard it yet?
It's like you said, brutal, but I mean, it's got a very progressive kind of feel to it, very old school black metal kind of vibe to it. I mean, it's an eerie album to me. I love the album. I mean, I've been hearing it since riffs that Infernus would send me 2 years ago when when I first joined the band. We didn't start playing or anything until 2009, but he asked me to join the band in 2007, and he would email me riffs here and there. And the riffs, I was just blown away by a lot of the stuff that was in there. And as it slowly came together and became songs, and it just kind of evolved, and then we went into the studio and recorded with the vocals and everything. I mean, it just was like, wow, this just blew me away. So yeah, I mean, I would say it's just like an evil, progressive black metal record, true Norwegian black metal.
It seems, upon first listen, like the jail time proved insightful for Infernus. How does the new album compare in your mind to the band's previous albums?
Well, the production definitely is a big factor. I mean, even the last record they did, a lot of it, I just couldn't understand what was going on. A lot of the riffs and a lot of the parts was just mangled together, it seemed. And the older stuff as well, the productions that's, a lot of that typical black metal that just, wasn't really cutting. And to me, I appreciate a lot of that, the old Darkthrone albums. I mean, those were classic, and I wouldn't want them to re-record it so it would sound cleaner or crisper or clearer. But this album, it just fit right. The songs, the riffs, everything, it just fit right for the way we did it and the way we polished it up and made it sound perfect. We took a lot of time making sure every little detail of the album was played correctly and did a lot of different takes. Yeah, overall, I'm super, super happy with what we came out with.
What does the album title mean or translate to?
You know what, there's no real, it's Latin, and there's never really been anybody's ever told me exactly what it's translated to from Latin. I've tried to do a Latin translation. It doesn't really come out. And from some of the things I've heard Infernus say in interviews and whatnot, it's basically trying to spread the word of Satan throughout the world. Pretty much those words. I'm not sure if that's the exact meaning from it, but a lot of the concept behind the band, so.
Infernus started working on the new material when he was paroled, but seemed to get a bit waylaid by Gaul and King Ovehel, trying to hijack both the band and the name. Were you surprised by their actions?
Oh yeah, I was floored. I saw King about 3 months before it happened in L.A., and I knew Infernus. I've heard of King. I never met him, but I walked up to him. We were hanging out. We were talking because we were mutual friends with Infernus and everything. And like I said, a couple months later, I found the news out, and I was just blown away. I was like, how the heck can anybody even think they could do that? But from the moment moment I heard it, I knew they're going to lose. They're not going to win this. There's no way. He's been on every album. Basically came up with the concept. He came up with the name, everything. I mean, he's pretty much written every song in their early career all the way down to the end of the last record. So, I mean, it's hard to really imagine that somebody could just go ahead and do that. But, I mean, I didn't know what the laws were in Norway. I didn't know what the copyright laws were or trademarking laws were. But everything ended up coming out just as we expected.
Infernus says that he knew he wanted you specifically to be in the new incarnation of the band. What was the initial conversation like?
I got a text message from him. I need a bass player. And I just text messaged him back, yes. It was pretty simple. Because we've been friends for a long time. He'd come out and visit me on some tours that Obituary would do, meet up at festivals and whatnot. We're just like good friends. We hit it off immediately when we first met years ago. And I didn't even really question it because I've always been a fan of his band. I've always been a real fan of his guitar playing. I thought he's a phenomenal guitar player. The style that he has is eerie and it's just insane. And like I said, it was not even really a question. I was just like, yeah, when do we start? It took 2 years, but...
There are some songs on the new album with titles like Rebirth, Cleansing Fire, and New Breed. I sense a theme here. Do the songs relate to Gorgoroth perhaps rising like a phoenix reborn?
Pretty much. I mean, yeah, the rebirth of Gorgoroth. I mean, it's basically saying that the band is just come back out of the grave. You know, I mean, we are a new entity of what may have been in the past, and everything else has kind of built them up and made them pretty much, you know, a pretty popular band at the time. And we just kind of felt with the new blood in the band and new drummer, new bass player, old singer, but a different kind of singer, because I think Pest is a lot more brutal than he was back in the day, a lot more mature than he was, and it's definitely like a whole new rebirth for the whole band.
Infernus has written most of the band's music over the years. Do you see the new lineup getting involved in the process moving forward?
Yeah, I definitely see it. I mean, me and him have been talking about it. He's already written a few songs for the newest record. He travels out to Sweden and jams with Thomas a lot, and I have plans this summer to go out there and jam around with him and see what we can come up with. He's open to a lot of stuff. I mean, he's a really, really cool guy. Me and him get along really well, and I think if I had ideas that definitely matched what he's doing, we would definitely put it together.
Now, do you and Infernus share the same religious ideologies, or is it simply about the music for you?
It's a lot about the music. I'm not a Satanist per se. You know, I mean, I believe in a lot of the ideologies of it, but I'm not really hugely religious. I was born a Roman Catholic and went to Catholic school and all this stuff, and it was never interested in me. And by the time I was about to graduate from high school from it, they kicked me out. So it wasn't really like my main goal in life to be a religious person. And I still am not now. I just basically worship my family and my kids and my wife.
Which previous Gorgoroth albums are among your favorites and why?
Antichrist definitely was it was the first album I heard by them, and I was just blown away by it. It just, to me, it was all raw, evil. It was the essence of black metal, what I expected it to be from the Dark Throne Mayhem days and whatnot. And definitely Under the Sign of Hell. I mean, when I first heard Revelation of Doom with that snare drum in the very first song right at the beginning of it, it just blew me away.
The first real live performance you had with the band was, I believe, the Hole in the Sky Festival?
Yeah, in Bergen, Norway. Yeah.
Right. How was that experience?
It was insane because I flew into Bergen. We rehearsed for like 2 days, and then I flew to Portugal. I did a show with Obituary, and then the next day I flew back to Bergen and arrived there about 4 or 5 in the afternoon, and we went on at midnight. And it was crazy because when I got to Bergen and I'm walking around the crowd and I see Nocturnal Culto, I see all these like famous people and then the black metal scene, Bob from Immortal, I mean the guys from Enslaved, the band Pentagram was there. It was insane, like all the different people in the same industry as us were there. Then it kind of dawned on me when I was there, about an hour before we went on, I'm like, man, this is like all the major black metal players and bands and whatnot are here to check us out. It's our first gig, and with all the controversy and all the build-up, and it's been 2 years since Gorgoroth's done a show. I think it was one of the heaviest times before I got on stage that I had to like kind of deal with the fact of, you know, I was wearing corpse paint, I got all this gear on and all this stuff. It was pretty intimidating. But as soon as we got on stage and we started playing, it just all went away and we destroyed. And we walked off stage and we all looked at each other like, wow, what the hell did we just do? It was amazing.